What part does data play in this process that you're describing?
So the data can be really powerful in that process, and there's a couple of areas in which that we apply it. So the first is to do with planning the transition. That you can build very rich simulations using all of the data that commercial vehicle operations generate to understand sort of what's happening now, and also what will happen when you transition different parts of the fleet. And doing it at sufficiently granular scale enables you to build this kind of really rational transition plan of like, well, we can do this now, there's a good business case. This is really difficult, so we have to wait for technology to change. And in order to do this bit in the middle, we have to prove this in our pilots. You can also sort of do what-if scenarios in order to get to a kind of optimum that helps you to materially reduce the costs of the transition by making smarter kind of capital decisions. The other place you can use data is for real-time operations. So we see in our customers a real kind of tendency to sort of over-specify sort of vehicles and over-specify infrastructure to create a kind of safety margin because people are unfamiliar with and uncertain of the technology. Now, that can be a real problem because actually that you're taking something which has got a sort of a difficult business case already and you're pushing it sort of further into the red, as it were. And so that what you can do if you're doing real-time management using the data is you can run a much leaner system which gets you closer to having a business case, and your resilience comes from the system being able to respond to things like what happens if you use a charger, what happens if you lose a vehicle. And doing resilience that way is a lot cheaper than having sort of spare vehicles or really big EV chargers sitting in your yard that don't get used.
You've touched on the issue of cost there. Cost is the big problem for many businesses.
Undoubtedly.
So how does all this reduce cost in simple terms?
So it's about right-sizing the specification of your vehicles and infrastructure. And so that brings you closer to the business case. And then once you've done that, you then need to push the utilisation as far as you possibly can, whilst charging the vehicles at the lowest possible cost. And that's how you deliver the best business case for the transition.